Episode 5 of From may have quietly revealed the closest thing we've ever gotten to an actual escape plan, and almost nobody noticed it. At first glance, Jade's mushroom trip looked like exactly what From always gives us: pure chaos. Creepy visions, impossible locations, terrifying symbolism, and enough cryptic dialogue to make your brain hurt. But once you stop looking at the episode like a hallucination and start looking at it like a memory recovery mission, everything changes. Because buried inside Jade's nightmare was something surprisingly structured: a warning, a pattern, and what may be the first real clue about how they can finally escape this township. But there's also a terrifying catch. Episode 5 may have quietly confirmed why every version of Jade before him failed. And if this theory is right, then Jade's biggest threat isn't the monsters outside at night. It's the people around him. Before we get into the deeper theory, let's quickly recap what actually happened, because this episode moved fast and buried some huge implications under pure nightmare fuel. The episode begins with Jade and Boyd waiting at the post office for the mushrooms Jade consumed to finally kick in. The goal here matters because this wasn't recreational. Jade wasn't trying to get high for fun. He was trying to access something buried, something connected to the memories of his apparent past incarnations. Almost immediately, things spiral. Jade starts seeing spiders everywhere and completely loses his composure. Boyd tries grounding him, repeatedly reminding him what's real and what isn't. The two even come up with a safe word, Capricorn, to keep Jade tethered to reality if things become overwhelming. Now, I'm not going to pretend that every tiny detail in From automatically means something huge, but the spider imagery is worth paying attention to because it keeps showing up whenever characters move closer to forbidden knowledge. Whether that connects to the mysterious forces controlling the township, the yellow suit man, or something even older, the timing feels deliberate. Then comes the first major clue. Jade suddenly decides sitting around and waiting for memories to magically return is pointless. Instead, he follows instinct. A random "this way" sign near the motel somehow feels meaningful to him, and Boyd follows along without much resistance. And honestly, that moment tells us something important about where Boyd's head is right now. Even Boyd, the most practical survivor in town, is starting to accept that normal logic simply doesn't work here anymore. As they move deeper into the woods, Jade starts shouting questions into the darkness, desperate for answers about who he is and why this place keeps pulling him towards something bigger. Then he sees him, young Jade, and this moment is way more important than it initially looks. Because young Jade isn't just standing there randomly. He's playing the exact violin tune Jade performed on the day his mother died. That detail matters constantly. From constantly uses emotional trauma as a doorway into deeper truths. Characters rarely confront mysteries without also confronting themselves. Boyd faced guilt. Tabitha faced fear. Victor lives inside grief. And now Jade is being dragged directly into the most painful memory of his life. The show seems to be saying something important here. Understanding the mystery may require understanding yourself first. But before Jade can process any of this, things get darker. The mysterious nail eye guy appears holding a skull filled with blood and urges Jade to drink from it. And this scene feels absolutely loaded with symbolism. Young Jade immediately warns him not to drink it, saying it will awaken memories he doesn't want to see. Meanwhile, Boyd encourages him, assuming none of it is real anyway. This creates a fascinating conflict. One voice says, "Don't look deeper." Another says, "Keep going." And in classic Jade fashion, curiosity wins. He drinks. Immediately afterwards, spiders appear inside the skull. Jade nearly vomits, and reality starts bending even further. But here's the key thing viewers shouldn't ignore. After drinking the blood, Jade's experience completely changes. The visions become less random, almost purposeful. And that's why I don't think episode 5 wants us to view this sequence as meaningless hallucination. I think the mushrooms did exactly what Jade hoped they would do: They unlocked memories. Maybe incomplete memories, maybe distorted ones, but memories nonetheless. Because after this moment, Jade follows young Jade to Colony House, where the episode drops what may be one of its biggest reveals yet. He sees multiple versions of himself playing violin. At first, it feels surreal, then terrifying, because Jade slowly realizes these aren't random ghosts. They appear to be previous versions of him, previous incarnations, and suddenly the mystery surrounding Jade becomes much darker than we imagined. For seasons, viewers assumed Jade's strange visions made him special, maybe chosen, maybe gifted. But what if that's only half true? What if Jade isn't unique at all? Then comes a line that completely changes how we should think about the Township. Jade notices something disturbing about his past versions of himself. They weren't killed by creatures. They appear to have been murdered by humans. That detail is massive. It means the monsters outside may not actually be the final obstacle preventing escape. Human fear might be. When Jade asks who killed them, young Jade gives us one of those classic From riddles. Minnows in a shark's net. Now, could this simply be cryptic nonsense? Sure. But if we try interpreting it, a disturbing possibility starts forming. Minnows are weak, frightened creatures trapped together. A shark's net suggests manipulation and danger beyond their control. In other words, what if the Township repeatedly turns residents against people who get too close to the truth? Think about how paranoid this place makes everyone, how fear spreads, how quickly survival instincts override morality. It's not hard to imagine a version of events where previous Jades became threats in the eyes of frightened townspeople. Maybe people thought the voices following him were dangerous. Maybe they blamed him for worsening conditions. Maybe the closer he got to the Anghkooey children, the more unstable things became. And eventually, fear won. Because history has shown us something uncomfortable. Terrified groups rarely make rational decisions. Then the episode drops another chilling warning. Jade asks about Tabitha, and young Jade says her future may be worse than his. That line deserves way more attention than people are giving it. Because what exactly is worse than dying over and over? My first thought? Entrapment. Jade may repeatedly die trying to solve the mystery, but Tabitha might be destined for something far more horrifying, becoming trapped inside the system itself, a replacement, something tied permanently to the children or the force behind the Township. Now, am I saying that's definitely where the show is heading? No, but From doesn't usually throw lines like that away casually. Those warnings tend to matter later. Then comes one of the overlooked moments of the episode, the storage shed. After losing sight of young Jade, everything shifts, and suddenly Jade and Boyd discover a hidden door beneath an overwhelming pile of luggage. And symbolically, this moment feels incredibly important. Luggage represents emotional baggage, history, memory, the past we carry. Jade literally digs through accumulated baggage to uncover a hidden passage forward. That symbolism feels way too deliberate to ignore. Then things get terrifying again. Jade enters the passage, loses Boyd, and eventually ends up in the underground tunnels, the place most connected to the creatures themselves. Instead of running, he follows young Jade deeper. What makes it even stranger is what happens next. The creatures surround Jade, push him into the grave, and bury him beneath stone. That scene feels symbolic on multiple levels. The town burying truth, the cycle repeating, Jade becoming another forgotten failure. But right before everything goes dark, he sees one of the Anghkooey children, and that changes everything. Because if the children are appearing at the center of this buried mystery, then saving them may genuinely be the key to escaping. And honestly, I think Jade finally understands that now. Then episode 5 delivers its final twist. Jade snaps back to reality. He never physically left the room, at least physically. But that doesn't make the experience meaningless. In fact, it may make it more important, because the entire purpose of the mushrooms was memory retrieval. And by the end of the episode, Jade feels different, more confident, like someone who finally understands the shape of the puzzle, even if he still doesn't have every piece. So, here's my theory. Episode 5 may have quietly revealed Jade's path forward. First, secrecy. If previous versions of Jade really were betrayed, then telling everyone everything could get him killed. Second, music. The violin keeps showing up for a reason. The connection feels intentional. And third, the tunnels, because whatever answers exist, they seem tied to that grave surrounded by 7 stones. But here's the terrifying possibility no one's talking about. What if Jade finally figuring things out is exactly what the Township wanted? Because in From, answers almost always come with consequences, and sometimes knowing too much is the fastest way to die. So the real question is this: has Jade finally found a path out, or is he walking straight into the same trap that destroyed every version of himself before him? Let me know what you think in the comments below.